Hello again, and welcome to the latest edition of the Roy Williams Show. We're going to be talking Carolina basketball. Man, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about with the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Roy Williams, over the next hour or so. Thanks so much for being with us. My name's Jones Angel. We're going to look back at the win over Duke, look ahead to the ACC tournament. All ACC teams were announced. We chat about all of that and a lot more. Plus, we have a bunch of questions to get to as well. Coach, let's start with Saturday, though. Carolina led the entire game against Duke, jumped out to a 26-6 lead, led by as many as 24 points during the game. Never saw that advantage drop below 12 after establishing that big lead early. Gosh, just an impressive showing from your team in a big game that you controlled the entire way.
Well, we did and felt very good about it. You know, I was so frustrated at the end of the game the way we handled their full-court press because I'm a coach and I keep trying to coach every possession, and we've got to learn from that. And every team we've had in the past, I always loved it when somebody pressed us because that meant it was an open full-court game, and that's what we've made our living on. But we didn't handle their press very well at all. But other than that, I thought we got some good performances from a lot of people. Garrison getting off, making the basket, and then all of a sudden coming down on Matthew Hurt's foot and having to go out but able to come back. I think that I would have just been destroyed if he hadn't been able to come back and finish playing on senior day. But I think that it was. We did some nice things defensively, and yet we still had our moments where we were that young team, the kind of thing. But no, I think overall against a Duke team, it had to be very focused because they knew how important it was for them. And we got off to a great start early and never really let them back in the game.
You mentioned Garrison. He had 14 points in the game, 5 rebounds as well. And really all the seniors, it felt like, did something to help you win the game, including Walker Miller, who took that charge on the very first possession.
Yeah, I love that. That was a play that I thought was important to us early, got our bench enthused about the game. And then when they went in, they wanted to keep that kind of thing going. And I thought that play was really big for us. And as you say, just about every senior had some moments, and even got Sterling Manley in for 2 big moments at the end. And I'm sitting here trying to think who made the lob pass to Sterling.
It was
Manley.
Andrew.
It was Andrew, so Andrew got that part of it too. But I do believe that all those guys deserved even more time, and I would have given them more time. I was just over there on the bench so upset with the way we were handling the full court pressure that I wanted to keep those guys in there to get better at it, and it didn't happen the way I wanted to, or I would have been able to give those guys that got that last minute or so, I would have been able to give them the last 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 minutes if we'd handled the press better.
Coach, in the 2 games against Duke this year, your starting backcourt of Caleb Love and Kerwin Walton, they combined to go 25 of 41 from the field. That's 61%. Mm-hmm. 14 of 22 from 3. That's almost 64%. Perfect at the free throw line in those 2 games. They had 73 total points in those 2 games. Obviously, terrific numbers. It seems like it really shows the importance of balance for your team this year, that when you can get some kind of production from your backcourt, gosh, it makes you guys a different team.
Well, it really does. Now, we've got to get both those guys to have better defensive grade because neither one of them had very good defensive grades in the Duke game. But, no, at Duke, I thought we were really good. And here we just caught them and hit them pretty hard pretty early, and it was never in doubt, basically. And I hate to say it like that because he sounds so conceited, but I do think that we did some things that were good. But I felt, except for the defensive balance at Duke, I thought we played better that game than we did here. But a lot of it is colored by our failure to handle their pressure late in the game. But, no, if Caleb and Kerwin are going to shoot those numbers, we're going to be really hard. We're going to be hard for other people to handle.
And in total, you always say it looks better when the ball goes in the basket, and the ball sure did go in, better than 55%.
Yeah, 55% both halves. And if you shoot the ball like that, you've heard me say a million times, the ball going in takes care of a multitude of errors. And it was something that was important to us. Caleb making the 3 early and then making the pull-up jumper early gave him a little more confidence on his shot too. Kerwin just continues to get better and better. We've got to get him to be more shot ready. So, because sometimes he ends up passing up shots because he's not ready when he catches the ball. He's got to recognize that he's open, and we've got to do a better job of getting him more shots.
You made everybody nervous by kissing the logo at the end of the
game.
Yeah,
it was the kind of thing. It dawned on me right there, and I sort of tried to get the attention. Well, I didn't try to get them thinking, God, that's what I should have got the guys to do. Because you think about it, 18 years, we haven't been undefeated at home in the league but 2 or 3 times.
Right.
And this year, the home court advantage, I said, well, you didn't have the fans there. Well, it's still our building. And you're used to the backdrop, you're used to the shooting, and I just thought that this place was great to us this year. And if we hadn't stumbled badly against Marquette, it would have been maybe the second or third, but probably just the second undefeated home season that we've had in 18 years that I've been back. And so, no, it was I didn't have any idea it was going to catch as much attention. I thought it was a nice gesture. Thank you, Smith Center. Thank you, Coach Smith, for doing such a great job in getting this building for us. But when you beat Duke on Senior Day and things sort of go perfectly in my mind, it's okay to go down and reach and kiss the court. I'd do it again right now and wouldn't feel the difference at all.
To Coach Williams' point, of course, the ACC, the regular season total complete, you look at the records home and away for just about everybody in the league. Virginia did finish 6-3 on the road. There were only two other teams in the ACC that had an above 500 record on the road. That was Louisville and NC State, and both of those were just by one game. So it really was a dramatic difference almost for everybody this season, playing at home versus playing on the road.
Well, I think at one point this year, the winning percentage of the home team was higher than it had ever been in ACC history, even without the fans in there. So I think the home court advantage is a lot bigger than people act like.
All right, we're going to take a break. We still have a bunch to talk to Coach about, of course, as we move through the hour. It's the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. We still have a ton of basketball stuff to talk about with Coach. We're going to get to the ACC tournament. We're going to get to all ACC teams, and there were several Tar Heels that were honored on those teams. We're going to get to all of that in just a second. But Coach announced on Monday that you and Wanda were making an incredible $3 million donation to UNC to support scholarships for athletes, to support the Carolina Covenant Scholars, and also Chancellor's Science Scholars. Why was this something that was important for you and Wanda to do?
Well, it seemed like the right thing to do, and basketball coaching has been very, very nice to me. We've made some money, and we don't spend a lot of money. I don't give me enough ability to get out on the golf course, and that's about all I spend money on. But I love this university. Wanda does. It changed my life when I came here. I've always felt like that we wanted to do something, and talked to the tax people, and they said, go ahead and do it now before you retire, gosh, Moses. And so it was something that seemed like the right thing to do. And our love for this place, you had Scott and Kimmy going to school here, their love for this place. It, as I said, it changed my life. Probably didn't change Wanda's life nearly as much as it did mine, but it's just a fantastic place, and I've always felt the more you give, the more you receive. We're able to do that, and my grandchildren, they'll come to school here too because they're very intelligent, and I'll tell them that if they come to school here, I'll keep them in my will, so I know they'll end up coming to school here too. But it's just our love for the place is what it is, Jones. It's not that big a deal.
And, Coach, last thing, because I know you don't like to talk about stuff that like this, but strictly from a basketball point of view, part of the gift goes to endow a scholarship for the 13th man who receives a scholarship. That's the last player on a basketball team that gets a scholarship.
I'd like to take credit, but I can't. That was Wanda's idea. Scotty, when he came here as a walk-on, played on the JVs for 2 years and played 2 years on the varsity, and he was the 13th man. That's the scholarship we wanted to endow, and it was her idea, and I thought it was a pretty neat recognition of that 13th person. A lot of times that's a walk-on, and again, that was Scott, and that was something that's always been extremely important to me. I've been a head coach for 33 years. I've never coached a team that didn't have walk-ons, and 1 year had as many as 5. And so that part of it, if you can give one of those kind of kids a scholarship, it is really, really something special.
All right, let's look forward to this week upcoming in Greensboro. Carolina is the number 6 seed in the ACC tournament. Tar Heels will play in the second round on Wednesday night. That'll be right around 9 o'clock against the winner of Notre Dame and Wake Forest. Those two teams play Tuesday evening at 7. Coach, your thoughts on the tournament draw?
Well, first, I hate it when you say right around 9 o'clock. That means we'll start at 9:45. I understand what you're saying. But, no, winning the game Saturday was big. There were a couple of things that happened, but we felt like that we wanted to try to play well. We tried to do that every time. We've been a little more up and down than any team I've ever coached. But hopefully we can go over to Greensboro, which is where I love playing the ACC tournament. Hopefully we can go over there and play well and hang around for quite a while.
Coach, the tournament was seeded strictly by winning percentage, regardless of how many games that the teams played. Virginia Tech is the team that a lot of people are talking about because they only played 13 games and they got the number 3 seed. Would you have liked to seen some kind of adjustment or thought process go into it to do something other than strictly winning percentage?
Well, if we'd have done it before the season started,
Right.
I would have definitely been in favor of that. But once we didn't do it before the season started, I think we should have stuck with just exactly what we did.
Yeah.
Mike Young's crew, they didn't want to skip all those games for sure. And but yeah, if you'd have told me and given me a couple options before the season started with the pandemic and feeling like that people were going to miss games, I would have voted for something else. But we didn't do that. And so the talk that we're having right now is just immaterial as far as I'm concerned. The biggest regret I have is that we missed 4 conference games, but
Absolutely.
3 of those were home games.
Yep.
And so some teams, there's always an imbalance, unbalanced, whichever one's correct. It's not balanced. Let's put it that way, the schedule in the ACC. And this year the pandemic made it really a wide range of – because playing at home is good, playing on the road is not good. And I think missing those 4 games, having 3 of them at home, that would have been nice for us. But the bottom line is we said what we were going to do before the season started, and we stuck with it, and I got 0 problems with it.
Carolina missed home games with Clemson, Virginia Tech, and Miami. Missed a road game with Boston College this year in ACC play. Have you received any information on what happens if there's a COVID positive result during the tournament?
Oh, I'm sure there's a plan. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I know there is a plan, and I know there's one in the NCAA tournament because I have been involved in conversations with them because I'm on a special ad hoc committee. But I'm sure if there is something that happens like that, there'll be a rule somewhere for it, and we'll follow whatever they say.
Coach, also, of course, this is a busy time of year. All ACC teams announced, and Armando Bacot honored as 3rd team All ACC. Caleb Love and Dayron Sharp were on the all-freshman team this year.
Well, there's been a lot of games this year and some good stretches of games where Armando's been our most efficient player, shooting 62, 63%, something like that from the floors, had double-doubles, maybe more than anybody else on our team. So I think that's recognition for what Armando has done. For us being in the, quote, middle of the league with our record, it's hard to have somebody up on those top teams because the teams that win, they should get their players first and second team. Dayron has definitely had some big-time moments for us. And Caleb, basically, we gave him the ball, and, you're the guy that's running our show, and he's fought through a lot of difficult things, but he's played great. Just think about his stats, as we talked about earlier, against Duke both games.
Yeah.
If he had those, it was really something. But I love the fact that for our freshmen, we had 5 different freshmen that were named Freshman of the Week in the ACC, and I don't think that's ever happened in that time. And so I think it's a testament to those freshmen and how they've done, and Dayron and Caleb just a little bit ahead of some of the rest of them.
Dayron was also the runner-up for the Freshman of the Year in the league. Scotty Barnes from Florida State won that award. He was also the runner-up for Sixth Man of the Year in the ACC. Scotty Barnes also won that award from Florida State. So congratulations to those guys. Moses Wright from Georgia Tech was named ACC Player of the Year.
Yep.
All right, let's take a break. Come back. We're going to start getting to some of your questions for the head coach of the Tar Heels. That's coming up on the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to the show, and appreciate you being with us all season long. This is our final scheduled show with Coach this year. Of course, a unique season. Tar Heels, should they advance to the NCAA tournament, which feels like Carolina's in good shape to do that. Once they head to Indianapolis, they're there for good until the tournament is done for the Heels. So hopefully a long time from now. So this is our last scheduled show with Coach. We appreciate not just Coach's time all season long, but your participation with us on the show. And that includes asking a bunch of questions throughout the year that we're able to use in part for our top 3 questions presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, reminding you to practice your 3 W's. That's wear, wait, and wash, and resolve to keep North Carolina healthy. All right, let's get to it. Coach, this one comes from Larry. Larry sent this one in and wondered if there was any guidance from the NCAA on roster management in the future with the potential return for seniors to have that extra year and how it may affect your scholarship situation.
Not much guidance, not much to tell you how to do it, except for the fact that next year's a free year for everybody that was a senior that wants to come back, and it doesn't count against your scholarship limitations for next year. So that's about all the guidance there was. And it's going to be a wild rodeo in the next month with the transfer portal and the differences in the way kids can transfer, and then people getting the fifth year. I mean, it's going to be the wild west out there for maybe the next couple of months.
I know Mac Brown has talked a lot about that roster management side of things from football, where you could almost have 50 freshmen who are both taking advantage of the new year and signing class and all kinds of stuff. So certainly will be a unique couple of seasons, I think, for college athletics in total on how everybody's able to manage that moving forward. Coach, this one came via Twitter from Countess of UNC, and she wanted to know your thoughts on the NCAA tournament being played in one location, understandably because of COVID. But do you think it will be easier in some ways to stay in one spot, difficult to only be in one place, or have you even thought about it yet?
I haven't really thought about it. When the decision first came out that they were going to do it in one location, I thought it was a very intelligent thing to do, because you have one set of rules and people are in charge of it right there, and you don't have somebody in charge at another city and then not getting the same kind of rulings. And so I think it's across the board. It's very straightforward. It's very strict. I think it gives us the best chance to have an NCAA men's basketball tournament and have a winner at the end. So I think that's the one thing about it I would say more than anything. You know, it's going to be tough on the guys when you first get there and there is nothing out of the hotel. You're in the hotel or you're going to the arena. Most of the arenas, you're going there on the walkways. You're not getting on a bus. There is no scheduled time for your players to be outside. So it's a little limited, you know, that kind of thing. But your whole goal is to play in the NCAA tournament, try to win an NCAA championship. But so that's the biggest part. Did that cover the second part of the question?
Yes, it was just she wanted to know if you thought it might be easier in some ways to stay in one spot if you stayed multiple weekends, or –
oh, that's going to be really hard. But, again, that gives us the best chance to have an NCAA men's tournament, because the NCAA and college athletics needs the men's basketball tournament, or we don't have the same world we're in right now at all. If that something were to happen and that we lose it this year, college athletics are going to change massively, massive changes. I mean, it'll be unbelievable ripple effect down.
Coach, last one here in our three questions, brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. This one comes from Brian Stalcup, and Brian says you certainly have always held senior games in high regard. You talk about that a lot, and he wondered if this one maybe held a little different place in your heart just because of the uniqueness of this year and how challenging it has been to get to this point.
Well, the whole season has been very, very unique, and you tend to remember those kind of things much more. I still remember a lot of the great times, too, and enjoy thinking about those as opposed to last year and some of the games that we played this year. But, no, the uniqueness with which what we're trying to do in college athletics is going to make you remember some of these season things that have gone on this season. But, you know, with Garrison and Walker Miller and Andrew and KJ, I mean, they were a pleasure to be around every day, and that's what I'll remember most about the season.
Good questions. Our top three, presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, reminding you to practice your 3 W's. That's wear, weight, and wash, and resolve to keep North Carolina healthy. We're going to take a break, come back. More to do with Coach. We're going to tackle some more questions and a little bit more when we return to the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Wanted to mention this, Coach. I think you know about this, so I think it's all right to talk about. We've got the reader card here for the Old Roy Donut at Dunkin', where people get this donut, the Old Roy, from March 14th through the 27th. 50 cents of every purchase of that donut goes to either the UNC Children's Hospital or the Second Harvest Food Bank of Metro Lina, depending on what area of the state that you're purchasing the donut. Coach, why was the Old Roy Donut coming into our lives?
Well, I think I'm always interested in trying to have some fun with some things. I'm always interested in trying to help people raise money. I think the causes that we have here, the hospital and the food bank in Charlotte and our children's hospital here, are something that I'm always interested in doing. I don't mind acting an idiot and looking like it more often than I should probably, but I love donuts. There's no question about that. the Bavarian cream in the middle of a chocolate-covered donut's about as good as it gets. So if people just want to go and they don't like donuts and they just want to buy some, they can bring it by the basketballs. We know what to do.
Take care of.
We know what to do with it in our office and in my home. I can tell you so it's just a fun thing to do, and hopefully we'll raise some money that can, needless to say, be used very effectively.
I was so disappointed. Adam Lucas said he only liked chocolate donuts. He didn't like the cream in the middle. I thought that was a big mistake by Adam.
I do too. But Adam's a little short-sighted. That's all right, to that kind of thing. But I love Adam, but I'm not going by his vote on the donuts, I can tell you.
All right, let's grab a few more questions here for Coach. And pretty simple question here from Corey Miller. Coach wants to know, what keeps you motivated on a day-in and day-out basis?
It's something that I really enjoy doing. I enjoy trying to put a team together that might have a chance to be the best team in the country, and that's the way I look at it all the time. Every year I want to see if we can get us to a point that we'll have a chance to win a national championship. And, the top 10, 12, 15, those teams have a chance every year. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to do it, but they all have a chance. And so the motivation for me is that I love coaching. I love working with young people. I want to have 0.1% of the effect that my high school coach, Buddy Baldwin, had on me, or that Coach Dean Smith had on our players here. And that sounds corny, but that's the truth of the matter, because my coaches were the most important individuals to me as I was growing up. And I do like putting things together and seeing if I can convince people to make sacrifices for a common goal. I'm still the guy that sets up all the golf trips and where we're going to eat and everything like that. So I enjoy that part of it. And trying to be the best is something that, needless to say, I really enjoy that part.
Coach, we've had this similar questions from Evan and George. Both sent this in about Kendall Marshall and Sean May. You've been asked before about those guys, but just what their roles are on your team and how they help make your team better.
Well, they don't do a lot, almost nothing with the team themselves. I mean, the guys will come by and talk to them, and they love that association, but they do no on-the-court coaching whatsoever. They're great for the staff. They're great for me. As you know, I'm not technology savvy by any means, so I can say that I want to see a high school player in Nebraska. Can you get it for me? And they'll bring it in and have it on the computer. If my phone goes wacko, I talk to Sean. He gets it straightened out. So those kind of things are important. But I think the things they do behind the scenes with the computers, with the high school games and high school players. Sean does all my scouting tapes for me. I'll say I'd like to take home, Duke versus Louisville or Duke versus Virginia. What I did last week, I guess Thursday and Friday nights, Sean gets that for me immediately. When we grade the tape every day, they sit in on that, and it's more experience for them learning what we want and just all they knew as a player. So they help, tabulate the scoring after every game, do those kind of things. But it is something that I feel very, very fortunate, and I'm not only fortunate but really lucky and somewhat guided luck, because I've always said they were two of the 5 smartest players I've ever coached, and to have those 2 guys on the staff means that I still enjoy having them around and learning some things and a lot of times I'll say, when you played, what would you have done here? And that gives me a lot of information as well.
Coach, last one, I think it's a good one to end on here, because I think it might be the $1 million question for the whole season for you. It comes from Ron Riggs, and he said, clearly this year's team has talent and is deep, has a lot of guys that you play. As a coach, what is the hardest part about trying to bring that talent together on a consistent basis to play as a team?
Well, their generation is different, and the whole society is basketball society. The basketball world is built on the emphasis of the NBA. It's not built on team play, and so trying to navigate through that and getting to find kids that will be concerned about how well the team does. That's the most difficult part. And everybody, every parent, every aunt, uncle, summer league coach, they think that their guy's going to be an NBA player. That is really, really hard. That's what they don't understand. And it's okay to be a big-time college player. That's pretty significant. But that's the biggest thing that is so hard to understand, because especially when I first started out, guys just wanted to win. That was the most important thing. And the fact that there's so many other issues going on now takes away from that. And to me, it's very sad.
It's interesting to talk to Danny Green recently. We ran some of Danny's interview last week on the show, and we were talking about the 06 win at Duke, and he talked about, that locker room. He said, for him, that's what it was about. And this is a guy who's won 3 NBA titles, and he said, but being successful at college, doing it together as a team, that win in particular, he said that there's something special and different about that.
Well, 6, 7, 8, 9, those 4 years in a row there, Tyler and Danny and Marcus, Bobby, their class never lost a game in Cameron. But the focus that they had, and those guys were zoned in on how our team was doing. And, at the end of 08, Danny and Ty and Wayne even tested the waters, I guess is what they were saying, but they wanted to come back to school. Tyler Hansbrough knew that he would be in the top 12, 13 picks, but he wanted to win the national championship. And so those guys were a little different, and things are different now. And I think those kids, their families were more concerned about getting a college education and, you're a basketball player, so do the best you can do. And right now, just the scenario that the kids are in makes the college education not be nearly as important. And like I say, again, that's sad, but it's the world that we live in, and we got to go with it.
All right, we're going to take a break. One more segment to do with Coach. We'll chat a little bit more about this upcoming week after this from Learfield, IMG College. So as we said earlier, Carolina heading to Greensboro for the ACC tournament. A reminder again, the Heels will play Wednesday night, as Coach and I talked about, approximately 9 o'clock against either Notre Dame or Wake Forest. And, Coach, you've got 3 ACC tournament titles as a head coach here at Carolina, 2 as an assistant coach at UNC, 4 tournament titles during your time at Kansas as well. What does it take to win this event, to be successful in this event?
Well, you got to be really, really good,
yeah,
and you have to be playing very well at this time of year. Guard play is extremely important. The pace of the games are extremely important. We went 4 years in a row, lost in the finals, I think 4 years in a row, and did very well once we got past the tournament, once we got in NCAAs at that time. But we have a conference tournament. It's the granddaddy of all of them. It's extremely important to the fans and the alums and how well you play. So I consider it to be very much more serious than people think that I do. I've always said, why you play again one weekend, what you've already done for 7 or 8 or 9 weeks. But the fact of the matter is it's good financially for everybody and can hopefully get you ready to play in the NCAA tournament. But it's a big-time atmosphere. It's sort of sad that we're not going to have fans up in Greensboro other than a very, very limited number for the teams' families. And, I'm sure they're going to find a way to give some sponsors, people some money that put those dollars up in front there. But Greensboro is just a fantastic place to hold the tournament, and I'm glad we're having it there.
Coach, last thing, you may not have even thought this far ahead. Do you guys plan to get together to watch selection show, and have you thought about travel yet, or is that not even in your mind yet?
Not even in our mind yet. We're focused on trying to play great in Greensboro and play well as long as they'll allow us to stay. And if we happen to be playing on Sunday, somebody's got to win, so why not let it be? Or Saturday. When is the final? Saturday. So if we're going to play in the finals on Saturday, we're going to try to do our best to win the daggum thing.
Again, Carolina starts its ACC tournament play Wednesday night against either Notre Dame or Wake Forest right around 9 o'clock. Coach, great to see you. As always, thank you for your time. Appreciate your time all season long and look forward to you guys continuing through the postseason. Well, I'm like you, Jones. I'd like to keep working quite a bit longer, so let's play as long as we can. But thank you very much for your time.